the most brutal, heart-stopping, and explosive crisis we have ever witnessed on Beyond the Gates. And I can promise you, everything just changed forever. We have to start by talking about the sheer, unadulterated chaos unfolding at Garland Memorial Hospital right now. The dust from the catastrophic tornado is still settling, and our beloved characters are being pushed to their absolute psychological limits. Martin Richardson just delivered what might be the most powerful, emotionally resonant speech of his entire political career. Standing in front of those television cameras, he announced to the world that all the funds raised during his massive political gala will be entirely redirected to the tornado relief efforts. He wants to rebuild this broken city. He wants to heal the heavy, devastating damages left in the wake of Mother Nature's savage wrath. He expressed his deepest, most profound desire to enter the Senate for the people, by the people. It was a noble, heroic moment. But behind that polished, philanthropic smile, Martin is drowning in a sea of absolute agony. Martin officially won his congressional primary election. He achieved his ultimate dream. But let me tell you, this is no victory. This is a hollow, ash-filled nightmare. Why? Because while the voters are cheering his name, his sister Catherine, Cat Richardson, is fighting a brutal, savage war for her very survival on an operating table. Cat is in critical emergency care because her heart rate just spiked to terrifying, lethal levels during the liver transplant surgery. This brings us to our first massive, explosive conflict, Martin versus his own conscience. This is war inside his own mind. Martin is entirely consumed by a toxic, suffocating wave of guilt. He cannot celebrate his political triumph because every time he closes his eyes, he remembers how savagely he treated Cat. Do you remember how he cornered her? How he aggressively pressured her, mocking her, calling her Princess Cat, and demanding she do the right thing to save Eva? He bullied his own sister into a corner. Now, she is paying the ultimate price. Martin is paralyzed by the horrifying realization that his political career will now demand all of his time. If he is chosen, he will be busier than ever. He will be dragged into the relentless machinery of politics, meaning he cannot even sit by Kat's bedside and hold her hand until she wakes up. He cannot nurse her back to health. The timing is a cruel, twisted joke. His political ascension is happening at the exact moment his sister might descend into the grave. Martin is agonizing, blaming himself, completely tortured by the fact that he prioritized Eva's life over Kat's safety. But Martin is not the only one drowning in this savage ocean of regret. This is the family versus their collective guilt. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is realizing the horrifying magnitude of what they have done. We all know the dark, twisted history between Kat and Eva. Eva has been a nightmare to Kat. Eva slept with Kat's boyfriend. Eva was involved in 2 distinct murder attempts. Kat hated her, and rightfully so. Kat had every single moral and legal right to walk away and refuse to donate her liver. She begged her family to listen to her real, visceral fears. But what did they do? They suffocated her with guilt. They manipulated her. They told her not to miss the chance to be a hero. Now, the doctors are working at maximum capacity, sweating, panicking, fighting against the clock to stabilize Kat's violently spiking heart rate. The agonizing, terrifying wait in that hospital corridor is burying Ted, Nicole, and Martin in a grave of their own making. They led Kat to this slaughter. They pushed her onto that operating table. This fear is a living, breathing monster, tearing them apart. Until Kat opens her eyes, this suffocating guilt will not dissipate. And let me ask you this. What if Kat never wakes up? What if she dies? I am telling you right now, this pain, this unbearable trauma will follow them to the end of their lives. They will never, ever forgive themselves. Everything just changed. I truly believe deep in my soul that with the relentless, heroic efforts of the medical team and Kat's own fierce underlying strength, she will survive this brutal brush with death. But do not think for one second that her survival means peace. Oh no, the recovery process is going to ignite a powder keg of unprecedented drama. We are about to witness an explosive, savage fallout involving Ted, Nicole, Eva, and Leslie. Brace yourselves for the ultimate marital battlefield, Nicole versus Ted. Nicole is a fierce, protective mother lion, and right now her cub is bleeding out. As Kat's condition hangs by a terrifying thread, Nicole's grief is going to morph into pure, unadulterated rage. She is going to need a scapegoat, and that scapegoat is going to be Ted Richardson. Nicole will absolutely, ruthlessly blame Ted for this tragedy. She will scream at him, reminding him how he tracked Kat down in that stairwell and begged her, pleaded with her, using his fatherly influence to manipulate Kat into giving up her liver. Ted made this happen. Ted forced Kat's hand. Nicole's fury will be a devastating hurricane that could completely shatter whatever fragile bond she and Ted have left. This is war, and Nicole is taking no prisoners. And then we have the inevitable explosive clash of the Titans, Nicole versus Leslie. When Ava finally wakes up from her successful surgery, she is going to be hit with a tidal wave of survivor's guilt. Ava will realize that Kat sacrificed her own body, her own life to save her. Eva will be crying, traumatized, and entirely vulnerable. If Nicole or anyone else in that hospital dares to direct even an ounce of blame or resentment toward Eva for Kat's critical condition, all hell will break loose. Leslie Thomas will not stand by and watch her daughter be crucified. Leslie versus... The world is a battle we have seen before, but this time it will be savage. Leslie is fiercely, obsessively protective of Eva. She just spent hours weeping, praying, and apologizing to her unconscious daughter. If Nicole unleashes her wrath on Eva, Leslie will go completely feral. She will defend Eva with the ferocity of a wild animal. She will scream that Eva never asked for this, that Eva was unconscious, and that Kat made her own choice. The hospital waiting room is going to transform into a chaotic, screaming war zone, leaving Ted caught in the brutal crossfire of these two powerful warring mothers. The headache, the stress, the sheer volume of this chaos will push Ted to the brink of a total mental collapse. But wait, all of this screaming, all of this fighting, all of this blame is going to come to a screeching, shocking halt. Why? Because a massive, earth-shattering bombshell is about to be dropped right into Ted's lap. The spoilers tease that an unexpected, shocking request is coming for Ted. What could this possibly be? Is it from the doctor? Let's connect the dots, people. Kat's heart rate is spiking. She is in critical distress. She is undergoing a massive, invasive surgery. What if Kat is hemorrhaging? What if Kat desperately needs a life-saving blood transfusion? If Kat is bleeding out, the hospital will immediately look to her biological parents, Ted and Nicole, to provide a direct blood donation to save her life. Ted or Nicole will absolutely, without hesitation, roll up their sleeves to give their daughter their blood. But here is where the ultimate explosive twist comes in. Before they can donate, the doctors must run a routine blood type and DNA compatibility test. What if the results come back and they do not match? What if the blood test reveals a devastating, explosive secret that shatters this entire family? Could this be the moment the ultimate truth is exposed? For months, fans have been speculating about a shocking DNA discrepancy. What if Kat is not Nicole's biological daughter? What if Kat and Eva were switched at birth? What if Leslie is actually Kat's mother and Nicole is Eva's mother? Imagine the sheer, paralyzing shock on Ted's face when the doctor looks at him and says his blood, or Nicole's blood, is not a genetic match for Catherine. This unexpected request for a blood transfusion could be the exact catalyst that blows the lid off a decades-old secret. If this happens, the entire foundation of the Dupree, Richardson, and Thomas families will crumble into dust. The stakes have never been higher. The emotions have never been more raw. Martin is drowning in political guilt. Nicole is ready to burn the hospital down with her maternal rage. Leslie is preparing for a savage war to protect Eva. And Ted is standing on the precipice of a secret that could destroy his entire reality. Do not miss what happens next. The fallout from this surgery is going to be the most dramatic, explosive television event of the year. Hit that subscribe button, leave your wildest theories in the comments below, and brace yourselves because the storm in Fairmont Crest is only just beginning.